The day my house became empty. I came home that Sunday afternoon, humming softly to myself, carrying a bag of groceries I had picked up from the corner store. The sun was bright, a soft golden heat filtering through the trees in my Oak Ridge neighborhood. Normally, this light would make me smile. Instead, I stopped dead at the doorway. The house, my home, was empty. No couch. No dining table. No chairs. The bookshelves I spent weekends dusting? Gone. My late husband's favorite armchair? Gone. Even the small rocking chair he had bought me on our 10th anniversary was nowhere to be seen. A yellow sticky note sat on the bare kitchen counter. In my son's handwriting. Mom, we used the furniture money to fund our move to LA. You'll understand one day. Jason. I sank to the floor. Not because of the furniture, not because of the money, but because my child, my boy, had left me alone in the house we built together. And he didn't think I deserved a conversation. Only a note. I didn't understand it then. I didn't understand how a child I had raised with every ounce of my being could do this. But I was about to learn. The house that held our history. I've lived in Oak Ridge, Colorado, for nearly 40 years. My house wasn't big, but it had heart. Every wall, every floorboard held memory. My late husband, Mark, and I had bought it when we were 28, young and full of dreams we didn't fully understand yet. Jason was born 3 years later, the son of our lives. I watched him take his first steps in this living room, taught him to ride a bike in the driveway, and watched him grow into the polite, smart boy that every teacher adored. When he graduated from CU Boulder, he moved back in temporarily. He said he needed time while looking for a job. I didn't mind. Mothers always make room for their children. Then he met Claire. Claire with her perfect hair, sharp cheekbones, and ambitious glint in her eyes. She came into our lives like a whirlwind. Before we begin, if you enjoy stories that touch the heart and remind us of life's quiet miracles, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. It truly helps our little storytelling family grow. They married in Vegas without telling me, and then moved into my guest room temporarily. That temporary stay lasted 15 months, during which my house slowly became their world. I told myself it was fine. I told myself it was love. But love sometimes blinds you to reality. The emptiness hits. It was hot that July Sunday. I parked my car, grabbed my groceries, and stepped inside, ready to put everything away and enjoy a quiet afternoon. The house smelled empty. You can feel emptiness. Like dust floating in the sunlight. Like echoes bouncing off walls that remember laughter. I called for Jason. Called for Claire. Silence. I saw the yellow note on the kitchen counter. The words blurred through tears. Mom, we used the furniture money to fund our move to LA. You'll understand one day. Jason. My legs gave way. I slid onto the cold hardwood floor, hugging my knees, staring at the spaces where memories once lived. Neighbors peeked over fences, pretending not to notice. Mrs. Caldwell, who had raised 3 boys, whispered sympathy through the hedges. But sympathy doesn't replace betrayal. The reactions and reality. The next week was unbearable. Friends offered advice. Kids grow up and move out. It happens. Others were more blunt. She's manipulating him. But this wasn't just moving out. This was abandonment. Calls went unanswered. Texts ignored. Emails unopened. I felt like I had been erased from my own son's life. At night, I'd sit on the floor, staring at the blank walls, haunted by memories of family dinners, birthday parties, and the sound of my son laughing in the living room. The Los Angeles incident. 2 weeks later, I received a call. Mrs. Lawrence? A woman's voice said. This is Detective Alvarez with the LAPD. Your son is safe, but there's been an incident. My heart stopped. The detective explained that Jason and Claire had gotten into a dispute at a rental property in West Hollywood. They were behind on rent. There was a heated argument. And police had been called. Jason was being questioned. but he was unharmed. I booked a flight immediately. My emergency account, the one I'd saved since Jason was born, covered the ticket. It wasn't just money. It was years of worry and preparation for worst-case scenarios. Losing him to LA. Los Angeles was another world. Neon lights, fast cars, and streets that never seemed to sleep. I found Jason at the police station, thinner, stressed, and haunted. "Mom," he whispered. I slapped him. Not hard, just enough for him to realize I was angry and scared. Then I hugged him as if holding him could undo months of distance and mistakes. "I don't understand," I whispered. "Why did you sell everything?" "It was temporary. We needed the money," he said. "We were going to pay you back. Eventually." Before I could respond, Claire appeared, her perfectly styled hair and designer outfit a sharp contrast to our raw, emotional moment. She barely looked at me. "Your mom can yell at you later," she snapped at Jason. "We need to figure out housing." Jason chose escape. The truth revealed. That night, I rented a motel near the airport. I couldn't sleep. Questions consumed me. The next morning, I began asking questions. A landlord explained that Claire had pushed Jason into quitting his stable job for her startup dreams, maxed out their credit cards, missed rent, and caused the police to be called. Jason wasn't evil. He was manipulated. He felt trapped. Guilt and fear had blinded him. The breakdown. Jason finally arrived at my motel, exhausted, eyes red from crying. "I messed up," he said. "Everything." I listened as he poured out months of blame, fear, and shame. He admitted that Claire had manipulated him into abandoning the house, the money, and even his own sense of judgment. "Why didn't you call me?" I asked. "Because I was scared you'd hate me. Because I thought you'd see me as a failure," he said. Tears ran down my cheeks. My boy, my gentle, smart, kind boy, was scared of me. The confrontation with Claire. An hour later, Claire burst into the motel room, demanding Jason return to her. "I'm staying with my mom," he said, finally standing up for himself. Claire scoffed, laughed, and left, threatening that he'd regret it. Jason exhaled. "It's over," he said. "It had to be," I replied. Returning home and rebuilding. We returned to Colorado. Jason apologized for everything. He took a second job, paid me back for the furniture, repainted rooms, restored gardens, and rebuilt the bookshelf he had made in high school. The house wasn't the same, but it felt like home again. Claire sent one last message. "You'll never make it without me." Jason replied, "Watch me." A year later, Jason had a stable IT job, therapy sessions, and a new perspective on life. We had rebuilt trust and love. One evening, as we sat on the new couch, he said, "Mom, I want to buy this house from you someday. Keep it in the family." "I'd like that," I said. "And I want to make sure you never feel alone again," he added. "I'm not alone," I said. "I have you." Tears glistened in his eyes. "Thank you for never giving up on me." "Never," I whispered. Lessons learned. Life doesn't always shatter in dramatic moments. Sometimes it breaks quietly, with betrayal and silence. But it can heal too. Jason didn't just replace furniture. He rebuilt himself, our relationship, and our home. And I learned that motherhood isn't about being needed forever. It's about being there when the world teaches your child lessons you couldn't. You can lose everything, furniture, money, peace. But if family finds its way back, you haven't truly lost it all. Reflections of a mother. Days turned into weeks, and even though the house now had furniture again, the emptiness that had once echoed through the walls lingered in my chest. I spent hours sitting in the restored living room, staring at the walls that once seemed to breathe life into our family, now quiet, yet filled with memories. I remembered Jason as a toddler, toddling around, knocking over lamps and leaving crayon marks on the walls. I smiled at the thought, realizing that no furniture could ever replace the warmth of those moments. I thought of my own childhood in Denver, growing up in a small house with my parents, where laughter often came from shared meals and the hum of everyday struggles. I remembered my mother, stoic but loving, who taught me patience and resilience, and I realized that perhaps Jason was learning his lessons too, just in a harsher, more adult way. Being abandoned by my own son, even temporarily, forced me to reckon with my own feelings of inadequacy as a mother. Had I raised him too cautiously? Had I sheltered him so much that when opportunity knocked, he ran headlong without considering the consequences? Or was it simply a rite of passage in modern American life? A painful but necessary step toward independence? I decided it was both. The neighbor's eyes. Life in Oak Ridge never returned to complete normalcy after the empty house incident. Mrs. Caldwell and the other neighbors would often peek over the hedges as I carried groceries or watered the garden. Their eyes were a mixture of sympathy, judgment, and curiosity. Some whispered about the audacity of young couples like Jason and Claire, chasing big dreams without thought for their families. Others suggested that perhaps I had pushed Jason away in subtle ways over the years, though I knew my heart had always been open. I learned to ignore the whispers, though not the stares. Instead, I focused on rebuilding, not just the house but the life within it. I began a small garden project, planting flowers and herbs, making the yard a space for reflection and peace. Each day, as I knelt in the dirt, I imagined the future. I imagined Jason returning home for holidays, bringing laughter and stories from the city, and I allowed myself to believe in that possibility. Lessons learned in silence. One evening, sitting on the restored couch, I reflected on the weeks Jason had been in LA. I hadn't spoken to him daily, giving him space, but I knew he was learning through struggle. His texts had been brief at first, updates about jobs, bills, and minor setbacks. Later, they became more thoughtful, reflective, almost like letters from a young man realizing the weight of his choices. I realized that abandonment, while painful, had a purpose. It had forced both of us to confront truths. Him about responsibility, me about patience and forgiveness. I had always believed that motherhood was about protection. Now I understood it was about endurance, resilience, and unconditional love, even when your child falters. The long flight home. When Jason finally returned from LA, I met him at the small regional airport in Denver. Watching him walk toward me, suitcase in hand, I noticed how much he had changed. He was thinner, more serious, but also more determined. The city had taught him lessons that no amount of conversation or parental guidance could have. He looked nervous as he approached, and I opened my arms without hesitation. For a moment, the past weeks of abandonment and frustration melted away, replaced with relief, gratitude, and love. "I've learned a lot, Mom," he said softly, as we walked to the car. "More than I ever imagined." "You better have." I teased lightly, though my voice wavered with emotion. "I will make it right," he promised. And I believed him, because motherhood teaches intuition, sometimes stronger than facts. Rebuilding more than furniture. Back home, we tackled the small but meaningful tasks of restoration. Jason repaired the deck, cleaned the gutters, and repainted the rooms he had once abandoned. Each act was more than labor. It was a physical manifestation of accountability and growth. I watched him one morning, kneeling on the porch with paint on his hands, and I realized how much he had matured. The boy who had fled for opportunity was now a man learning humility. In the evenings, we would sit together on the porch, talking about everything: childhood memories, his dreams, my fears, and small hopes for the future. The bond we thought broken had been reforged, tempered by hardship and the lessons of distance. Claire's shadow. Claire continued to linger in messages and social media posts, a reminder of the path Jason had once chosen. But each interaction was met with calm determination. Jason no longer responded impulsively. He had learned boundaries, the importance of self-respect, and the value of choosing wisely. From my perspective, Watching him stand firm against manipulation was more satisfying than seeing the furniture restored. It was proof that lessons had been internalized, and that growth often comes through adversity. Holidays and traditions rebuilt. As the months passed, we restored our family traditions. Thanksgiving became a celebration of forgiveness and resilience. Christmas lights adorned the porch again, twinkling like small promises of hope. Jason took an active role, not as a guest in my house, but as a partner in creating memories. It was during one quiet Christmas morning, sipping cocoa in the living room, that I realized the house now held more than just furniture. It held story, growth, and the quiet understanding between mother and son that no furniture could replace. Personal reflections on motherhood. Motherhood had taught me patience, endurance, and grace. But this experience, this trial of abandonment and reconciliation, taught me something deeper: love without conditions. I could no longer measure my son's worth by actions alone. I had to embrace his imperfections and trust his journey. As I looked around the house, now vibrant with life and warmth, I understood that motherhood is not the act of shielding children from failure. It is standing beside them when they falter, and allowing them to rise stronger. A full year of healing. A full year passed since the day my furniture was sold. The house was no longer just a structure. It was a testament to resilience. Jason had found stability, both professionally and emotionally. We laughed more than we argued, and the quiet moments were no longer empty. They were filled with understanding. One evening, as we sat on the porch, Jason reached for my hand. "Mom," he said, voice steady and confident, "I want to buy this house from you someday to keep it in the family." I smiled, heart full. "I'd like that. And I want you to never feel alone again," he added. "I'm not alone," I whispered. "I have you." He squeezed my hand. "Thank you for never giving up on me." "Never," I said. And in that moment, I realized that loss, abandonment, and mistakes had not broken us. They had forged a bond stronger than before.